Hi there, friends. So glad you've joined us for another informative weekend edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. We're giving you a glance at government's service excellence policy, positive transformation of students in school, and, of course, health-wise. This week's focus is on mental wellness tips for all little ones. These and much more are on the agenda for the next half hour. So don't move. It all unfolds after this quick break. Thanks again for being here. We're opening the pages with a look at the service excellence transformation taking place across government. It's driven by a policy that seeks to improve efficiency in service delivery and the satisfaction of persons doing business with the government. This is part of Vision 2030, Jamaica's National Development Plan. Let's find out more. The Public Sector Modernization Division in the Office of the Cabinet is charged with working closely with ministries, departments and agencies of the Government of Jamaica to lead, support and promote the service excellence policy and program. Service excellence is at the heart of Vision 2030, which aims to make Jamaica a place of choice to live, work, raise families and do business. By adopting a new approach to service management, the Government of Jamaica is recommitting to removing unnecessary bureaucracy across the public sector, improving the efficiency of our processes, and increasing the quality of our products and services. Expected service standards include answering the phone by the third ring, dedicated waiting area for customers, access to the building area for the disabled, set turnaround times for queries. A channel for redress is established in a citizen's charter. The Office of the Cabinet has developed a framework which identifies the main elements of focus for creating a culture of service excellence within the public sector. There are two key pillars which form the basis of this policy. These are people engagement and performance excellence. People engagement focuses on the involvement of clients in the design and implementation of services that satisfy their needs. This includes engaging all our customers, including vulnerable and hard-to-reach groups, to address their needs and provide targeted service delivery.
The service excellence policy, if given adequate support from all actors, will contribute to improving the quality of life of all Jamaicans, in particular, residents in volatile and vulnerable communities.
The Service Excellence Program is changing the way services are delivered by the Government of Jamaica. The Cabinet Office introduced the Government of Jamaica portal, the gateway to all government-related information and services. In partnership with the Company's Office of Jamaica, the PSMD has created the Electronic Business Registration Form (EBRF) that allows business owners to register business from anywhere in the world and at any time.
Greetings from the Jamaica Customer Service Association. I am the chairman and my name is Nsambi Jaja. It is such a joy and honor and a privilege to congratulate the Office of the Cabinet and the Public Sector Modernization Division for this amazing piece of work that has come out in the form of the Service Excellence Policy. What a fabulous document.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries is committed to service excellence. This is demonstrated through several initiatives, including a completed customer service improvement plan with emphasis on customer service sensitization and awareness training for all our divisions and agencies. We have established the first government online customer feedback system.
We have a very robust and committed customer service implementation team under the leadership of our Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Grayson Stewart McFarlane. And this team ensures that we provide leadership and we monitor all activities surrounding service excellence. we have implemented a number of activities, and some we are in the process of implementing. These include our new customer service charter, which we have just completed, our website, which we are revamping to ensure that it is user-friendly, to be launched later on this year. And we also continue to have communication activities to ensure that we increase awareness about the services that we provide. And a big part of our initiatives include ensuring that we develop the capacity of our staff by training them and providing sensitization around important topics. We wholeheartedly support the Government of Jamaica's Service Excellence Policy as we take justice to the people of Jamaica.
Performance excellence is the second major pillar of service excellence. Through the modernization program, the Office of the Cabinet is leading the process to create a performance and achievement-driven public sector culture. This new whole of government performance culture will be driven by professional and highly motivated public sector professionals, empowered to serve effectively within the public sector environment. Performance excellence is built on 3 principles. The first principle of managing for excellence will ensure that accountability and management systems are established for service excellence. Our MDAs will have the appropriate structures in place with roles, responsibilities, and accountabilities clearly defined and reinforced. The second principle is capacities for excellence, which will enable public bodies to identify the required talent and provide means for continuous development. A public sector learning framework is being developed to build a culture of continuous learning and innovation within the public sector and signals a clear commitment by the government to investing in human capital development. With the appropriate and consistent training for its staff, the government is ensuring that both systems and its people will deliver better service. The promotion of an excellence culture is the third principle. This includes monitoring performance against service dimensions, as well as reinforcing excellence through appropriate rewards and recognition. The government is focused on being accountable for the delivery of quality service, and where staff and organizations perform well, this will be publicly rewarded and recognized. The public will also get an opportunity to decide on which entities will be rewarded once the GOJ Reward and Recognition Program is launched. With service excellence culture being institutionalized throughout the government of Jamaica, the entire public sector will be organized around the needs of its customers, directly accountable to them through guarantees of services which are of the highest quality, accessible, convenient, easy to use, integrated, responsive, cost-effective, and which assure redress when things go wrong. The Service Excellence Policy, developed by the Office of the Cabinet, accelerating a new day to Vision 2030.
On behalf of the Inter-American Development Bank, I congratulate the Government of Jamaica on the launch of the Service Excellence Policy, and I look forward to seeing results on the ground.
Hi, I'm Faye Ellington, Chairman of National Integrity Action. Principal Director, Professor Trevor Monroe, members of the board, and I unreservedly endorse the Government of Jamaica's Service Excellence Policy. NIA's mission, which is strengthening good governance, requires the enhancement of service excellence. Achieving public sector efficiency is built on 2 critical pillars: people engagement and performance excellence. This cannot be achieved if each member of the public sector, all arms of government, and the political directorate doesn't lead from a place of excellence. Jamaicans and people who do business in Jamaica deserve high-quality service. Remember, giving excellent service is simply respecting others.
Child diversion in the Ministry of Justice is just our way of diverting children who are considered to be troubled, wayward, or children who just come into contact with the justice system. There are a few misconceptions about the program. One is that it's only bad children or children who always misbehave that come to the child diversion program. The program is here for children who make mistakes, as they will do because they are children. The other misconception is that once they are referred to the program, we are going to take the children away. That is not the plan of the program. In the best interest of the child, we try to ensure that they are around their family or the guardian that can support them to be rehabilitated. So they come to the program and they stay at home. As a matter of fact, most of them that come to the program don't end up at a facility for children. They stay at home and they complete the program there and they continue with school and everything that they would do. If you know of children who have come into conflict with the law, one way or the other, consider child diversion as an option.
As we all should know, children need our love and protection. Parents, guardians, all responsible adults have this role to play if we are to give our children the opportunity to grow up well and make positive contributions to society. Watch this next feature for a story on the transformation taking place in the lives of children deemed undisciplined and even violent.
Through a joint effort between the Ministries of National Security and Education and Youth, a 25-school strategy has been established to assess, recommend, intervene, and support students who exhibit maladaptive behavior. The project was also established to inform administrators, parents, and the government of the underlying reasons a child might act out violently and disruptively. St. James High School was one of the 25 institutions chosen to start the evaluation process. One reason for this is that students attending this institution were notorious for engaging in violent activities, as evidenced by disturbances, altercations, stabbings, and even fatalities. With this negative reputation and reality, the future for students here seemed uninspiring and disheartening for administrators and parents. But one change would be the catalyst for transformation. Joseph Williams was appointed principal of the institution and took on the job resolved to see a positive new path for St. James High. He arrived determined to instill hope in both the students and the surrounding community that anything is possible.
I came here April 1, 2004 to a school which it was said was in a bad state in terms of students' conduct, performance, all negative things about it. When I came, it was like permanent recess. Students were always outside, unruly, fights and all. So I had my plans from early as to what I would do to change things. I went to Church Teachers College. I specialize in social studies and geography, and social studies is key. It's about people, and so that was a key factor. And then my upbringing, and then I believe in God.
After working in the educational system for 18 years, Mr. Williams knows a thing or two about how to enforce discipline. So he employed the 3 C's method: conduct, content, and covenant management. He was convinced that these steps were necessary to steer the institution in the right direction. Mr. Williams' overarching goal became behavior management while utilizing strategies to increase students' skill sets, learning capacities, and interpersonal interactions.
The mission of St. James High School is to establish and manage an atmosphere conducive to the holistic development of each child, teacher, and all other members of the school community, embracing the fact that discipline is the essence of education, while preparing students at all times through caring and sharing, and we strive toward better living.
The mission was initially impeded by what Mr. Williams perceived as a fundamental problem for children who found it difficult to accept discipline as an integral element of education.
I remember many of these boys would say, "Sir, I don't have no father, sir. I don't know no father, sir." then kill my father, sir. And I'm saying, why? So I had to back up. So it came to me now that there were so many here. That's a population of over 2,400. And it seemed like I couldn't find 200 students here who live with mother and father. I declared from this balcony here to the students that I am the father.
And with the assistance of Michelle Pinnock, the Ministry of Education's Regional Director for St. James, the work became doable.
I think she understands what we are going through at the school and what is needed. And I'm satisfied with how much she will cooperate with us.
As it is now, it is a school that many parents want to send their children to. Before, you used to have parents wanting to remove their children, but now it's a school of choice, really a school of choice.
So in every school, the teacher, the principal, teachers, everybody there should accept the students. That's where you work.
And for the family support,
parenting needs to be strengthened. Parenting. Parents must take charge. We cannot have people becoming parents and you are weak. You cannot allow a gang leader to take your child.
And so, through perseverance, a once lost school was restored. In the words of Principal Williams, it is the attitude that determines the altitude, and then, above all else, give love.
Children are the future, and ensuring our future is healthy requires that children are always provided with nutritious foods to grow well and live long. Unhealthy diets high in sugar, salt, and fat consumed by children may make them obese and prone to non-communicable diseases later in life. Healthy foods and beverages not only help them learn better, but also protects them from non-communicable diseases such as some cancers, diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular diseases in their childhood and adult life. So, whether it's at home, in the lunch bag, or at school, let's make healthy foods and beverages for our children the only rule.
We are near the close of Jamaica Magazine today, but there is still time to look at another important subject relating to our children. The Child Month celebration continues, and today marks the end of National Child and Adolescent Mental Health Week. This observation highlights one element of the Ministry of Health's program that provides children with tips and support to improve their mental wellness.
Good health, especially our mental health, is an important factor to achieving success. And so, taking care of our body, particularly our brain, which regulates how we function, is key.
It's how we think, it's how we feel, it's how we navigate and how we connect with each other and how we function, right? And when we're mentally well, it means that we can grow, it means that we can flourish, it means that we can achieve the goals that we've set out to achieve.
Mental wellness is one of the 4 dimensions of health, the others being the spiritual, physical, and the social. They all feed into achieving stability.
We talk about in terms of mental healthness, it's feeling balanced, right? It's being able to think and it's being able to function well.
The fact is, the ebbs and flow of life are normal, and so understanding and applying coping methods is paramount. It is said that this is the foundation on which character is made. So ask for help when needed, maintain positive relationships, and take control of the situation. More later. The COVID-19 pandemic has created challenges within the mental realm for many persons, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness, having assessed the impact, has crafted a national program of response.
So this program is intended on bringing the experts together and to just help us to readjust back to the normal life that we used to. Because COVID has been devastating on us. Some people call it mental health, we call it mental wellness. Because we're not promoting the negative, we're promoting the positive. We are saying that your state of mind should be positive about life.
The program, spearheaded by psychiatrist Dr. Sophia Longmore, seeks to promote a better understanding and acceptance of mental well-being, with special attention being paid to children in schools exhibiting deviant behavior. It evaluates root causes and provides psychosocial support.
The need is great for mental wellness in our society at this time. And my role in the Senate, in the upper house of Parliament, along with being a psychiatrist and president of the Jamaica Psychiatric Association, kind of made it such where I could help to make this happen. So this is a collaboration between the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the Ministry of Education and Youth, the Jamaica Psychiatric Association, and the Jamaica Psychological Association. It's a national program that we're doing, but we are starting with where we think the need and the impact is greatest at this time.
Our youth have been negatively impacted by COVID-19, with some reporting to be overly stressed from the lack of face-to-face interaction and tactile in-classroom learning experience for over 2 years. Having to adjust when the call came in for in-person sessions has added to mental angst.
It is okay that you did forget some of the study techniques. What we have to do now is to learn to re-engage. Learn now to live as a young person again, to enjoy your education experience, enjoy your friends, enjoy your classroom setting and your teacher, and don't make anything bother you so much that you sit down by yourself in loneliness, fear, and anxiety. We're saying that no matter how you feel depressed, or lonely, or anxious, or uncertain, no matter how much the work is giving you trouble, or your circumstances at home may be a little problematic, we're saying that we are here for you. There's someone you can come talk to, and there are ways to overcome all of that.
The intervention, which began in June, targets schools across the island with face-to-face and virtual sessions and provides support for school administrators to cope with the challenges. The expert counsel from these sessions provides an appreciation of the concepts and techniques of mental wellness that we could all use as part of our coping mechanism.
When we speak about mental health, right, how do we ensure as young people that our mental health is appropriately addressed? Well, one, it's important for us to identify what makes us happy, what's our strengths, and also to identify what's our sources of stress. So for example, if you know there's a particular friend group, right, that brings you joy, that brings you happiness, so guess what? Know your tribe. Know your group that feeds you and feeds your energy. If there's another group or an environment that every time you go there you feel nervous, you feel anxious, you don't want to be there, identify your source of stress and stressors. So if you know that, what do you do then? If you know there's a group or an environment that's not really sitting with your soul and your spirit, distance yourself because you don't need that, right? Listen, we know life has stressors, but I guarantee you, being positive, expressing gratitude, sometimes just write down a list of things of what you're grateful for, it feeds into your well-being. It feeds into how you see the world and how you navigate your challenges. And just be mindful that everybody's paths are different. We're all unique, we have our strengths and we have our flaws, and that's okay. Additionally, we have to practice self-worth. And what do we mean when we say we have to practice self-worth? You can't hug up yourself. Know that you are worthy, know that you are deserving, and know that the others around you are worthy and deserving.
Major red flags used to identify when we are not well mentally includes lack of concentration or not being able to retain information, a drastic change in appetite, being easily irritable outside your typical window of annoyance, being excessively worried or anxious, prolonged sadness and withdrawal from friends and family.
How then do we combat these things so that we don't get to the red flag level? Well, I have the first one there, drink water. But what does that mean if the majority of your body or your body has a high percentage of water? It means you're always using it, right? You get up, you breathe, you're paying attention now. So you have to replenish your body. You have to drink your water. Less sugar, we spoke about that. Exercise, we spoke about that. We spoke about making your little gratitude list. It's important to be grateful. It's important to highlight the positive interactions. You're not neglecting and you're not minimizing your negative interactions or experiences. But when the good things happen to you, jot it down. Remind yourself. So when the bad things happen, you remember, oh, you know, I was on the honor roll. Oh, you know, my mother said I was lovely today. Oh, you know, I got an A.
Practicing good breathing exercises and getting adequate sleep by establishing a bedtime routine also provides mental benefits. Cheers to good mental health.
Have you been waiting more than 12 months to do surgery for hernia, prostate, fibroids, or other womb-related surgeries? Then you should contact the Ministry of Health and Wellness by calling 876-320-8694, 876-320-9133, 876-320-9164, or 876-320-9373. Calls are to be made between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Mondays to Fridays. You can also email projectcodecare@moh.gov.jm. You will be required to provide your name, medical record number, the type of surgery, and the health facility where you made your appointment. The last day to contact the Ministry of Health and Wellness is Wednesday, May 31, 2023.
This is where we end the program. Be here on the station tomorrow, and we will have much more to share. Until then, there's lots to watch over on our website at jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Adrian Atkinson. Remember, children need our love and protection, so show them you care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.